Imagine the quiet English countryside. And there, rising from the mist, Stonehenge, these colossal stones, silent witnesses, weathered by time, they just stand there, monuments to an age we can barely grasp. Then travel across the world, to the Pacific, Micronesia, Nan Madol. It's like a city emerging from the ocean itself, built on water, ancient basalt logs. How? In Lebanon, Baalbek. Beneath the grand Roman ruins, you find stones. Stones so impossibly huge they almost seem unreal, defying everything we think we know. Who shaped these? Who placed them with such care? And maybe more importantly, why? Why undertake such immense, almost unbelievable efforts? Generations of work. These aren't just piles of stone, are they? They're riddles, carved into the earth itself. And they're questions. They echo across thousands of years. Tonight we're going deep into the heart of these great megalithic mysteries. We'll look closely at the sources we have, try to understand what we do know, and maybe even more what we don't. The scale alone, it just pulls you in, doesn't it, into this ancient enigma. Makes you wonder what secrets are still buried deep in our past.
It really is the ambition that strikes you first. The sheer scale they were working on. Materials, logistics. I mean, these would be enormous challenges even for us today with all our technology.
Exactly.
It forces you really to question our assumptions about the past. What were they truly capable of? Maybe we've forgotten something fundamental.
Let's start this deep dive in England. With Stonehenge, it's probably the most famous, the most iconic of these riddles in stone. But it's so much more than just a landmark people visit.
Oh, absolutely. It's a profound question etched onto the landscape.
And the timeline. Construction started over 4,000 years ago. It happened over centuries. Think about that commitment. The huge sarsen stones, right? Some up to 25 tons. They were brought from about 20 miles away. A huge task in itself.
A huge task, yes. But then you have the blue stones.
Ah, the blue stones. Smaller, yes, but maybe even more mysterious, because they came all the way from Wales.
From the Presley Hills. That's, what, 150 miles?
150 miles. It's just staggering. How, in an age before wheels were common, before strong draft animals were readily available, how could they possibly manage that?
Well, Professor Mike Parker Pearson from University College London, his work offers a really interesting perspective. He sees Stonehenge not just as a monument for the dead, though it clearly was, aligned with the solstices and all that.
Right, the solar alignments are key.
They are. But he also argues it was a major place of healing, a spiritual center, a pilgrimage site drawing people from, well, all over Britain, possibly even further. It paints a picture of a much more connected, maybe spiritually focused, ancient world than we sometimes imagine.
But that central question, it just hangs there. How did Neolithic people, these ancient communities, move and lift these massive stones? We read about theories. Sledges, log rollers, maybe rafts on rivers were possible.
Sure, those are the plausible mechanisms we discuss. But even if you accept those methods, the sheer coordinated effort required, it's still mind-boggling.
It really is. You have to try and picture it. Hundreds, maybe thousands of people working together, year after year. What kind of belief, what kind of social structure makes that possible?
And that touches on something vital. The level of social organization needed. Leadership, planning, logistics, managing a workforce for generations on a single project. It suggests a complexity, a societal cohesion that maybe goes beyond our typical image of Neolithic life. It wasn't just muscle, it required immense foresight.
Okay, so from the ancient fields of England, let's travel east, across Europe, the Mediterranean, to Lebanon, to Baalbek. Now, the Romans built there, famously. The Temple of Jupiter is incredible Roman engineering, but look closer, look beneath the Roman layer.
Yes, that's where it gets truly perplexing.
Because you find structures that seem much, much older. We don't even know how much older. Specifically, the trilithon.
The trilithon, 3 massive blocks, part of the foundation platform under the Roman temple.
And massive is the word. Each one weighs, what is it, around 800 tons?
Roughly 800 tons each. To give you a sense of scale, a large passenger jet, like a 747, weighs maybe 400 tons fully loaded. So each stone is like 2 jumbo jets.
Incredible. But then there's the stone still in the quarry nearby, the so-called stone of the pregnant woman.
Even bigger. That one's estimated at around 1,000 tons, maybe even slightly more. It's the largest single block of stone ever quarried by human hands, as far as we know, just sitting there.
1,000 tons. How? How do you even begin to move something like that, especially in antiquity?
But this is exactly where Dr. Marja Van Ess's work comes in. She's an archaeologist who specializes in ancient engineering. And her conclusion is, Well, it's quite stark.
What does she say?
She argues quite forcefully that the Romans, with the technology we know they possessed, simply could not have moved those giant foundation stones, the trilithon, or the even larger ones in the quarry.
So, they didn't build that platform.
Her research strongly suggests they inherited it. They found this massive ancient platform already there, built by some earlier unknown civilization, and constructed their temple on top of it.
An earlier unknown civilization, capable of moving 800, even 1,000-ton blocks.
Exactly. The technology required. The sheer physics of quarrying, lifting, transporting, and placing stones of that magnitude with precision. It's beyond anything we associate with that period before the Romans, or even with the Romans for stones of that size. It seriously challenges our established timelines of technological development.
So if it wasn't the Romans,
Yeah.
who was it? And what happened to them? It implies a level of knowledge, maybe a whole chapter of history that's just gone, lost.
Precisely. It opens up huge questions. If such capabilities existed much earlier than we thought, what else did they know? What else did they build? And why don't we know more? It's a profound enigma.
Let's shift focus again, thousands of miles away now, to the Pacific Ocean, off the island of Pohnpei in Micronesia, Nan Madol.
Ah, Nan Madol. The Venice of the Pacific, some call it. Though that doesn't quite capture its uniqueness.
No, it really doesn't. It's this incredible city built, well, on the sea. And around 92 artificial islands built on a coral reef linked by canals, just rising out of the water.
Constructed from these long, prismatic basalt logs. Naturally formed columns, but still incredibly heavy. Some weigh up to 50 tons.
50 tons, and it was built over 1,000 years ago. The local legends, they're quite something.
Yes, the stories tell of twin sorcerers, Elisipa and Elisopa. They supposedly arrived by canoe and used magic to make the massive stones fly into place.
It's a magical explanation for what seems like an impossible feat, isn't it? It kind of highlights how baffling the construction is, even to the descendants of the people who live there.
It does. Dr. Mark McCoy, an archaeologist who studied Nan Madol extensively, calls it simply a marvel of engineering. And he's right. These basalt columns, they were quarried on the other side of Pohnpei Island. They somehow had to be transported, likely floated on rafts across the lagoon, which is not a simple task with logs that heavy, and then lifted and stacked, interlocked, layer upon layer, without any mortar.
Floated across the lagoon, lifted, stacked.
The logistics, as Dr. McCoy puts it, are mind-boggling. You're dealing with tides, currents, immense weights, and the need for incredible precision to build stable structures right on a reef.
Which brings us back to that fundamental question again. Why? Why go to all that trouble? Why build an entire city, a ceremonial complex, whatever it was, right there on top of a coral reef?
That's the mystery. The sources suggest possibilities. Maybe it was a powerful ceremonial center for the ruling Sodalor dynasty, a way to centralize power, observe the nobility.
Or perhaps a defensive fortress, hard to attack a city built on water.
That's another theory, a stronghold. But honestly, the full purpose, the complete story of Nan Madol, much of it remains elusive, hidden beneath the water perhaps, lost to time.
It's fascinating though, isn't it? Stonehenge in England, Baalbek in Lebanon, Nan Madol in the Pacific, geographically worlds apart.
Yet all sharing this common theme, absolutely monumental stone construction that pushes the limits of or even defies our understanding of ancient capabilities.
Does it suggest, I don't know, some kind of connection? Or a common reason? Which leads us, I suppose, to the bigger picture. The competing ideas about why. Why did ancient peoples invest so much? Generations of labor, incredible ingenuity into these megalithic sites. Were they just temples and tombs, or was there something else going on?
Well, the prevailing archaeological view, and there's a lot of evidence for it, is that yes, fundamentally they were sacred sites. Temples, burial places, ceremonial centers. The astronomical alignments are undeniable in many cases. Stonehenge is famous for it. But many other sites show connections to solstices, equinoxes, stars. It suggests a deep connection to the cosmos, tracking time, maybe predicting seasons, reinforcing social order through shared ritual linked to the heavens.
Okay, that makes sense. That's the sort of standard interpretation.
It is, and it's based on solid research. But there are other perspectives, other voices in the sources we looked at that ask us to consider more unconventional possibilities.
Like Graham Hancock.
Like Graham Hancock, yes. He looks at these sites, their alignments, their global distribution, and poses a different kind of question. He suggests they might have been designed not just to observe cosmic events, but maybe to interact with them, to harness certain kinds of energy, earth energy, cosmic energy, things we don't really understand or perhaps even recognize anymore.
Energy generators. Or something like that.
Or perhaps markers.
Yeah.
He floats the idea that they are part of a message left by Well, maybe a lost civilization, encoded in stone and alignment, a message we've forgotten how to interpret.
A forgotten message. And then there's Dr. Robert Schalk. He comes at it from geology, initially with the Sphinx, but looking more broadly too.
Right, Dr. Schok emphasizes the sheer scale, the precision, sometimes the architectural similarities across vast distances and time gaps. He argues that it points towards a level of sophistication, of knowledge, that just doesn't comfortably fit into our standard model of ancient history.
He raises the possibility of
Right.
an earlier cycle of civilization.
Essentially, yes, a highly advanced civilization predating the ones we know well. Something perhaps wiped out by a major cataclysm, leaving only these incredibly durable stone structures as enigmatic clues to their existence. A forgotten epoch of human history.
These are, well, they're certainly challenging ideas. They push you to think outside the usual boxes, don't they?
They absolutely do. And whether you lean towards the conventional views or find these alternative ideas compelling, they all highlight just how much we don't know for sure.
So we circle back. Stonehenge, Baalbek, Nan Madol. Just 3 examples among many around the world. They stand silent, imposing, witnesses to a past that remains, well, deeply veiled.
Holding their secrets close.
And the questions just linger, don't they? Who really built them? Gods? Giants, like the old myths say? Or were they human engineers whose brilliance, whose knowledge has somehow been lost?
And what were they truly for? Temples, tombs, observatories, energy devices, messages across time? Maybe. Maybe all of the above.
We look at the sources, we hear the theories, but the final answers remain elusive.
It reminds me of that quote by the archaeologist Dr. Aubrey Burrell. He said about Stonehenge specifically, but it applies more broadly. Stonehenge is not just a monument, it's a question. And every answer we find only leads to more questions.
That feels right. The stones, they might never speak plainly. Their secrets might remain locked away. But their mystery, that endures, it echoes, it invites you, invites all of us to keep wondering, to keep searching, to ponder what other astonishing truths might still be hidden in the great depths of our history.